Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Movie Mates episode. I am Matthew, of course, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Hey man, lovely to see you. So on today's show, we're breaking down the latest episode of Wandavision, episode 7. And I think this is going to be a good one because we might have some interesting opinions here. Shout
Some
out
hot
Rashad.
takes.
Hot takes, yeah. Absolutely hot takes. So I'm going to pass over to Cam to explain the breakdown of what we're going to be talking about. So yeah, off to you, mate.
So, of course, as Matthew mentioned, we'll be talking about the third from the finale. There's two more episodes left, and it's still remarkably short, which is a
It
bit
is.
unfortunate.
It is.
I was
Yeah.
banking on a bit of a longer episode. The showrunner Jack Schaefer had said that that this story is a 6 hour saga. So I sort of expected the last three episodes to be quite long. I did the maths. There's 2 hours 40 left. So if we have another 30-minute episode next week, then we're getting a movie for the finale.
That would be decent. That would be certainly strange given the tone of the show, but it would be nice because I remember Kevin Feige said, yeah, the last three episodes are 1 hour long, but that was just a big fat lie, apparently,
I
Kevin.
think I think he was misquoted. I think he said, the last three episodes are 3 hours long, and then that's sort of what people
Oh,
took
yeah,
from
oh
it.
yeah, maybe that was it. 'Cause I suppose that
Because
would make sense.
people are sort of baffled watching the show where the budget went, because this is one of the most expensive TV shows ever made, and Paul Bettany said that there are more effects shots in this show than Avengers Endgame. So I think, and that that's a 3 hour movie in itself, and a
Yes.
lot of what we've seen so far is just filmed like a sitcom, and of course there are effects there, but a lot of that is done more practically.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be something more. I think it might be a movie. That would be very weird,
It was
but
certainly
but
would.
I'd be up for it.
I would 100% be up for it, yeah. So yeah, just before we break down this episode, thanks to everyone who supported us recently. We really do appreciate that a lot. And please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on WandaVision episode 7 down below. We love to hear them. And yeah, of course, time codes on our email is in the description below. So Calmia, if you want to open the floor with your thoughts on the episode, but of full spoilers, I suppose we'll be talking as well.
I suppose so. And of course, this episode, the strongest sitcom allusion within this episode is to Modern Family.
Mhm.
And we talked last week about Malcolm in the Middle and the fact that that was the first one that we were old enough to remember. And here, it's the first one that's just recent enough, for me to know and have liked. Did you ever watch it or enjoy it?
I'm not really familiar with all the characters, but like I'm aware of the format of it. I've seen a couple episodes on TV and stuff. I think that's the one with like Sofia Vergara, isn't it, as well? That show.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think yeah, I've seen a few episodes of that on the TV or whatever, and I think it's also got the guy who played Doc Samson in The Incredible Hulk as well, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Fuck. What's his name?
What is his name?
Shit.
I'll have a wee look here. I'll have a wee look. I've
No,
put you on the spot.
Ty Burrell.
That's it. That's it. Ty Burrell. Yeah. So no, I think it is I think it's probably one of the best styles so far. It's quite strange when you see Wanda talking to the camera though. That is quite unusual.
Yeah, it is bizarre, and the fact that we find out later that she was actually talking to Agatha all along, to reference the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a male producer's voice. It was a bit jarring.
It was. No, it absolutely
And
was.
the sort of opening credits of this sitcom episode, tries to make it very clear, in the statement, created by Wanda Maximoff, that it is indeed Wanda responsible for the creation of this reality, which I think at this point can't be put into question. I think she 100% created it, and Agatha's just doing bits there.
Manipulating it. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I
I
think
don't
so.
think she's not responsible for the creation, just for the
Mhm.
just for the negative direction that things have been going.
Yeah, I think it's like it's probably too late in the game now for the show to change that. I think you're right. I think it has to sort of stick with the Wanda is the cause of it sort of scenario. And I think this episode, one of the things I would say about it is it does answer a lot of questions in regards to who is manipulating things, but it also yet feels like there's so much missing from it. I think it was
Hmm.
the weakest episode. Yeah, I still absolutely loved it. Like that's an indicator, I suppose, how good the show is. But I don't know, man. I felt like it got bogged down with the silly MCU humor. I think especially with the Modern Family dynamic.
Yeah, I mean it is very of the modern sitcom.
It
It is
is,
very
yeah.
Office, very Modern Family, but it's very jarring to watch that in a sort of genre piece.
Hmm.
But I did enjoy that because when it comes to
Yeah.
TV, that is sort of my preferred style of humor. And when you were saying about something being missing, I think most notably is the lack of a reveal regarding this mysterious
Yeah.
aerospace engineer, and the fact that we may have got an answer, but that it's just so underwhelming and disappointing that it's sort of devastating.
Yeah.
And I think there's absolutely no clarity given on who she meant, but my interpretation was that Monica is the aerospace engineer and her guy was the army woman who just built her specs, because they say, oh, we got your specs, we built this, but I think the engineer is Monica, and she was like, I know it, I know an aerospace
Yeah, it's
engineer,
me.
it's me.
Yeah, I know. Like it's not often I would watch like a Mr. Sunday Movies breakdown of WandaVision, but I was watching that, and he had sort of said that yeah, obviously people thought it was John Krasinski and stuff, and I don't know, maybe it was a bit early for that introduction of Mr. Fantastic, but I think what one character that he pointed out that the show could be leaning towards a reveal is Agatha's husband Ralph, because he's been name
Mhm.
dropped quite a few times recently. And I don't know. Do you think that has any gravity towards it, or do you think it just is just another meaningless reference?
Well, I mean, it may well be just be, of course, we know Agatha is a big old liar.
Yeah,
It may well be that her husband is the rabbit, Senor Scratchy, that
yeah,
she's, transformed, or it could be Evan Peters. I think there's a few possibilities, but I think it's either, those two, or that there is no husband. I
I
think
agree.
those are really the only two potential answers that they've sort of primed.
Yeah,
But when it comes to the aerospace engineer, because I'm circling back to it because I'm pissed,
I respect
because
it.
Town of Paris, Monica Rambeau had said, publicly that you're not going to believe it. You're going to be so wildly excited, and I can't wait to see the reaction whenever you find out. And maybe it's still coming. Maybe she gave the specs to these army people. It was built by whoever this person is, and we just
Yeah,
don't see them. That's possible, but with the way they built it, like my guy's just an hour away, and then they travel there. They meet these people, and it's no one.
yeah.
I feel like they may have just fucked
Anticlimax.
it. Like I
Yeah,
feel like
they
I
fucked
don't
it.
think
Yeah,
there is something bigger coming. And
yeah,
if that's the case, like making such a big deal about this is just, it's only ever going to lead to disappointment. And I
yeah.
think
I
they fucked
agree.
it. I'll be honest.
I think that's the issue when actors say those kind of hyperbolic things where it's like you're never going to believe this. I've longed to work with this actor all my life, kind of thing. It does set you up for like a really big reveal, and if you don't get the just desserts there, you don't get your your reward. It can come off as really disappointing, and I think potentially the biggest reveal in this episode is obviously Agnes's Agatha Harkness, but potentially another one is that Monica kind of becomes Spectrum in a sense. I suppose she discovers her abilities here, so it's going to be interesting. I think we both had sort of saw that coming as well, and potentially could lead into Captain Marvel. I reckon. What about yourself?
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about it, because I think it's rare that we see such an interesting like government agent type in the MCU. We have Jimmy Woo, we had Coulson, and now we have Monica. And I feel by giving her powers, it sort of removes her from that position.
Mm.
I feel like she could have been the new Clark Gregg. And here, I think just making her another hero just adds her to sort of a generic roster. And
Yes.
with her addition, including Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and now Spectrum, to Captain Marvel 2, I feel like it's going to be very crowded with powered people.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, I feels like the MCU is kind of rushing these sort of projects and like to get as much heroes as they can
Mhm.
in one go. And I think for me,
They're going to have to
especially,
face a big ass threat, honestly, if it's the
yeah,
three of them teaming up.
yeah, agreed, 100%. And especially here with introducing like Agatha Harkness as well, it kind of seems like that's going to bring in the sorcerer element. Be that Doctor Strange or potentially Baron Mordo could be the big bad here. I'm not sure, but I think I just don't want this TV show to become like I know all out action sounds like so much fun at the end, but I don't want it to lose its quality. Like it's still a fantastic show.
Mhm.
I just don't want it to get like just all out action, as cool as that may be. I think this show's done so well to build up these characters, and there's characters we haven't even talked about. Like we could theorize about like the neighbor Herb or Dottie. I think Dottie is seen in this episode as well, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, she's just trimming her plants.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
before we sort of get into the big moment of the episode,
the big
that the
moment.
Agatha Harkness reveal,
Yeah,
there was just one moment that sort of drew my eye, and it's where Darcy and Vision are
yes,
exchanging words in the funnel cake car, and then Darcy says that she may have created this whole reality, but at least I can see that the love between you is real. I wouldn't call that so quickly. She's constructed a dream scenario and a dream husband, and he has none of his memories. Like he's just been primed to be the best husband for Wanda possible.
yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
call that love real.
Yeah, like he's not the original recipe Vision. I think as you coined, he's not OG
Mm.
Vision. So yeah, I do agree with you on that one, mate. It was maybe a bit of an early assessment there by Darcy.
So to get into sort of the big reveal, the big
The
moment
nitty
of the
gritty.
episode,
Sure.
throughout the entire duration, it is a short episode, but I was desperate for a big reveal because obviously they're revving up to the finale, and I was desperate through the whole episode, and for the sake of the show, the Agatha Harkness reveal is that for this episode that's meant to be a reveal, but I mean it's not a reveal, and I thought the delivery of the performance from Catherine Hahn was a bit bizarre, that like it was this very low budget basement set, and this really stilted performance, at least in
It
the
felt very
you're not the
CW.
only you're not the only magical girl in town, and then
Yeah, and then there's a weird
it's
song
like,
as well. Oh
yeah,
god,
no,
that
no,
song was
the
good.
song I think is
The
spectacular.
song
Like
is good.
it is spectacular. It's one of the best character introductions I've ever seen. But just her saying like, Agatha Harkness, nice to meet you. I'm
Yeah,
like, right,
yeah,
okay.
I
It
know.
really came across as like, I'm revealing myself as a character from the comics, but I think that's just not accessible,
Yeah, of
to the
course,
mainstream audiences,
of
because they're
course.
like,
Yeah,
right, you're. I mean, it was very clear that Agnes, had a part in this, so now they're gonna be like, all right, she had a part in it, but she was just using a fake name. Like that's the size of the reveal, for casual audiences,
hmm
So I think that ramification is only really felt by
yeah. Oh,
sort of
definitely.
hardcore viewers.
Definitely, like it cuts off a huge portion of your audience, especially like the average viewers who just casually watch it. I think for the comic fans that would be a nice reveal, but even for them, like if I was like a huge diehard Doctor Strange or Agatha Harkness fan, I don't know. I don't think I'd even be that impressed. I'd be like, oh, it's very predictable in that sense. Do you know what I mean? There's no mystery there. She's a character that doesn't really sit right in the whole show. And there's I think potentially there could be interesting reveals. I think the main one that I'm really looking forward to is the real identity of Pietro Maximoff here. To be
Hmm.
honest with you, like Quicksilver, because I think that could potentially be very interesting. And we've talked off podcast about theories with Hayward and stuff like that. So I think there is potential for other reveals here, especially if the last two episodes are as good as the as the people working on it have said. So I'm really hopeful for it, but I was a little disappointed with Agatha Harkness. I'm not gonna lie, to be honest, I really
Yeah,
was.
because they made it far too obvious from the start, and then they waited 7 episodes to reveal that. I think the MCU is strongest when you know who the villain is, but not what they're up to. I
Yeah.
think in Captain America: Civil War, Zemo, you knew immediately he was the villain. That was unquestioned. I mean, also Iron Man. Let's be honest, but
Yeah.
really, really Zemo. And then you sort of watch this, albeit like convoluted plan, unfold, and then and then in the exchange in Siberia, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's sort of mind blowing. That well, not mind
I
blowing.
know
I'm
what
not,
you
I'm not
mean
going to give
though.
them that much credit, but
I know what you
it,
mean.
it came together very well. And I think clearly Agnes wants something to do with Wanda's children. If that if her intentions were revealed, around 7, 8, I think I would have preferred that to the character reveal, because I think it was just
Yeah.
too obvious to be played
Yeah,
that
I
way.
think so. I think so, buddy. I think so. And I don't know, like we were sort of saying, I think there is plenty more reveals to come. We haven't even mentioned like the kids, Billy and Tommy. I think Vision could be an interesting one as to whether he survives the show. I don't think he does, all honesty, because I think this episode suggested like I think maybe Darcy questions him like, why can't you survive outside the hex? And I think it's going to be inevitable the hex gets destroyed or something by the end.
Hmm.
So I think Vision is probably a goner, if I'm honest. Um, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I don't know. I think this episode did fall short of previous ones to me, just in the sense of the lack of a reveal and things like that. But I don't know. Potentially the future episodes could fix that. I think.
Yeah. Do you think the sort of confirmation that Agatha is, well, that Agnes was Agatha Harkness all along?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that rules out the possibility of a bigger bad? Do you think Mephisto is ruled out? Because this episode seems to assert that. I mean, it outright says it was Agatha all along. Implying that any malice within the town she's responsible for. And from what we see, it seems that whoever Evan Peters is actually playing was sort of under her control, or he's at least an underling of hers. Like, do,
Yeah.
do you think he's maybe a lower level but still significant Marvel character?
I think Agatha is probably the big reveal here. I don't think we're getting a Mephisto. I think maybe the closest alternative could be like an Ultron. So like it potentially could be a coincidence that there's two villains. occurring here. Like I'm not sure if if an Ultron would work in this show, but I think if they were going to introduce a character like that, potentially it has potential. Given that, yeah, it's very Age of Ultron, invested this miniseries. But yeah, I think for me, Agatha probably is the big bad of the show. That probably rules out Mephisto or other malevolent forces there. Quicksilver, I'm not too sure on, because we can see like she kind of is manipulating him when he knocks on the door.
Mhm.
So it kind of makes me think he's just either like he is Fox Quicksilver, or like he is just,
No chance.
or it's just like, I know it's so unlikely that's gonna be the case, or it just I don't know. It's so hard to explain it, because obviously, we see a lot of weird stuff in that basement. There's like loads of different doors. There's like a weird glowing book as well, which I think someone,
Yeah.
Mr. Sunny movie, said it was like the Darkhold or the Darkhold or
See,
something.
I think it is meant to be the Darkhold, but the Darkhold's already been in Agents of Shield, and it was in a season of Agents of Shield in season 4 before it broke off from the main MCU timeline.
Right.
So those events should still be canon. Like season 5 of Agents of Shield and beyond are all they're all nonsense, and they're not connected whatsoever to the MCU.
Yeah.
But pretty much up to season 4, that should be canon, and it had the Darkhold already. I mean, obviously, Kevin Feige probably isn't worried about continuity errors with Marvel Television. So
Yeah.
it may well be, but I don't know if you caught the post-credits scene.
I did, yeah. So do you think
But
that's an evil Quicksilver then, or do you think he's just a
well,
random guy?
it's 100% not Quicksilver whatsoever. I think he's just a guy that
Yeah.
then Agatha gave the vague look of Quicksilver too. Because of course, if he was an illusion, why wouldn't she make him look like Aaron Taylor Johnson anyway? So he looks
Exactly.
like Evan Peters. He is Evan Peters. Well, not literally Evan Peters necessarily.
Imagine.
Despite my theory last week, yes. But Agnes, I think, the implication within the postcard scene is that he has physical form. So I don't think he's an illusion. But I think that's a reveal that has to happen next week.
Yeah, I think the fact that Agatha Harkness is pretty much was outright confirmed here suggests that, yeah, Doctor Strange, this is going to lead right into Doctor Strange 2, like as sort of was said. So I feel I'm not sure if she's going to be like a potential villain in Doctor Strange 2. I'm not too sure. I'm really not sure what they're going to do with that character, to be honest, because I think they've wasted a lot of time in the show building up to something big, and then just to say, oh yeah, and unless they just blow our minds in the next episodes, which is definitely possible. It's definitely possible. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm holding out for a big reveal. Paul Bettany, I hope you're not lying to us. I hope it's like I've heard a few people say like Ian McKellen or something like that. Magneto, which would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know how smart it is to sort of anchor a new franchise on such elderly men.
I know what you mean. I kind of thought that as well. I kind of thought like I kind of want Ian McKellen to enjoy retirement. Do you know what I mean?
I think Disney normally looks 10 years into the future.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Like I kind of thought the same, because like I think he's one of the most respected British actors of all time as well, and just actors in general. But I think when you get to that age 82, we see older actors like De Niro. They appear in movies like Dirty Grandpa, and they're shite movies. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want Ian McKellen to I know he's appeared in bad X-Men movies, but I wouldn't really count them because they're like genre defining.
He's always great in them.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want a really good actor that I respect. Once they get older, they feel like they have to just get by just being on really shit movies. Like, I don't want Ian McKellen to do that. And if this ends up being like a really disappointing reveal or something, like, I just don't want his reputation as Magneto or anything to be tarnished. So I think you're right. I kind of hope he's not in this, if that makes sense. But yeah, any more points from you, buddy, in the episode?
Well, I think I was disappointed here, but I think I have to be self-aware to realize that pretty much in my mind, anything predictable is disappointing. But when you release weekly television and give the people the chance to speculate, every possible theory will be thrown out, and eventually someone will get it right. So if it was Mephisto or this was Agatha Harkness, I have to be self-aware enough to realize anything predictable is going to disappoint. So I feel like if they'd been like, and Evan Peters is Mephisto, you'd be like, yeah, guessed it.
Definitely.
I feel like anything they could have done would be criticized. So I'm self-aware enough to realize that.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think I feel the same way. To be honest, I feel the same way.
Just to quickly mention the commercial of the episode, it was
Yes,
for
Nexus. Yeah.
a pain relief, sort of a paracetamol type, drug,
Yeah.
and the product name was Nexus, and I was curious what this was, and within the Marvel universe, it's a gateway to different realities. So
Oh,
either
okay.
this is referencing Westview and how that it's Wanda's domain, her reality, and the people have to, but potentially, it was about Monica, traveling through the dome, through the
Yes.
hex to get
Yes.
into, because she traveled through it to get into this reality, or it's a reference potentially to, again, this is looking too deep into it, or it could be that they're taking a trip to hell and then they'll meet Mephisto,
I
through
like
some sort of
that. I like that.
teleportation.
Yeah, like the adverts are getting a lot stranger. So they are like there was a really weird
Hmm.
one last week, wasn't there, with like a shark or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think the Nexus one, it's an interesting one with the gateways. It could definitely lead into the multiverse of madness, the Doctor Strange sequel, which apparently Danny Elfman is back to score. He's teaming up with
Oh,
Sam Raimi again.
jazzed!
Buzzing. I
I'm so
know.
happy.
I know. But yeah, I mean, I'm really hopeful for that, because that kind of reference would sort of suggest like the ads are bound to mean something, surely.
Yeah,
Surely.
and the cast within them, at least for 4 out of 5 of them are, I think there's been 6 ads so far, so I think 5 out of 6, the cast of the adverts have been the same. So
Mhm.
I feel like there might be something important there, because they aren't
Yeah.
residents of Westview. Who are they?
Exactly. That's such a good point, actually. Yeah, it's a really smart detail. I didn't actually pick up on that. Yeah, nice one, buddy. Nice one. Any more final thoughts from yourself, mate?
Nothing else for me.
No worries. Well, I'd love to hear your rating for today's episode.
So in my opinion, I'm sorry, Rashad.
Wonderful.
In my
Rashad's
opinion,
gonna
that
eat
this was
me.
by far the weakest episode. It was the first that didn't feel like premium television. It felt like it could have been on any network sci-fi show like The Gifted or Agents of Shield.
Agreed.
It
Yeah.
felt like it felt like the magic, and the sets that they had were quite low rate
Yeah, it felt
in
like
my opinion.
CW-esque. It did sort of feel a little
Like
bit like that.
when your only big moment, I mean, I suppose the two big moments were, Monica getting her powers, and then the Agatha reveal. If you have that much money to sink into this, go all out. But I feel like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the
Definitely.
glowing, like, plastic looking branches were a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
But the rest of the show is so spectacular looking, and I just feel like that one set sort of like really threw
Agreed. No,
me
I
off,
agree.
especially when
Actually, I
that's
do.
meant to
No, I'm
be
with you.
like the moment of the episode.
Hmm.
So I do think it's the lowest of this season, but it's been a fantastic season.
Oh, it has. It absolutely
So
has.
the weakest of a great bunch. I think it's like sort of a higher tier quality episode of Agents of Shield. So I would probably give this episode a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. I think that's fair, mate. I think that's
I'm
a fair
scared.
assessment.
Scared.
100%. Yeah. I think that's definitely the weakest episode. That being said, I still really loved it. I still really liked it. There's some scenes in there I feel like could have been cut for, and potentially, I think the whole, as much as I love Darcy and Vision, I think the whole circus, like the circus theme, when like they spend 5 minutes pretty much with a Vision interview and stuff like that. It's a lot of time with that whole segment. That being said, I think Agatha Harkness, although very predictable reveal. I'm interested to see where they go with that character. I absolutely love the Agatha Harkness song. It was Agatha all along. It was great. I'd have to give this episode probably an 8.5 out of
And
10.
she
I still
killed
really loved it.
Sparky. What a
Justice for
bitch.
Sparky. I know I love Sparky. I'm surprised she hasn't killed the rabbit then, which maybe would suggest that like she
It's
maybe that's her
Mephisto.
husband. Yeah, it's Mephisto. It's Mephisto. He's a rabbit. But yeah, thanks very much today, buddy. I appreciate your time a
Thank
lot,
you.
and stay tuned next week, guys, where we are reviewing the latest episode of Wandavision again, episode 8. That'll be hopefully it'll be an hour long episode, a bit longer. I think it probably will. Unless they do a madness of release 2 episodes in a week. Imagine. It wouldn't surprise me. That would be good. But yeah, thanks
Yeah,
very
and
much today.
people have been talking, for the last few weeks, that there was meant to be a 10th episode, and it turns out that it's actually a behind the scenes episode of
Oh, okay.
how they made the show. So
That'll be
that'll be
good.
coming out
I
in the
definitely would watch
bridge
that.
week,
Yeah,
between
absolutely.
WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I definitely would watch that for sure. Because I remember MC Kevin Feige said there's weekly MCU content this year, which is
Hmm.
crazy. That's fantastic. I suppose that would provide. Did you say the break between WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah, I mean, so far we have, like this Disney Plus television, at least live action has only been The Mandalorian and WandaVision. So I mean, it has been minimal, aside from like non-fiction stuff. I'm
Yeah,
talking about like fiction
yeah,
Disney
I get
properties.
you.
So I mean, it's just crazy that they go from like releasing one season of one show, you know, in 2019, then in 2020, to, you know, content every single week. Like it's just such a jump.
It is. It absolutely is, mate. It takes a lot to adjust to, especially. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. Next week for WandaVision episode 8. And yeah, thanks so much for today, Callum. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much to everyone who watched. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Appreciate that a lot. Hope you're all well. Hope your family and friends are all safe and well too. Take care and bye bye.
Bye.